Over the past year or so, I've been making videos on interviews about Martin Scorsese's crime epic The Irishman, sharing them and discussing them. That was when not a lot of people knew about the film and the hype machine hadn't started turning. Now that it's in full swing, there's been such an influx of interviews with the cast and director, it's difficult to keep up, when once upon a time it was almost impossible to find new news or an interview on The Irishman. I did mention in a previous video that I would not cover an interview unless anything new was mentioned. For the most part, many of the interviews circling around are all covering the same ground. In fact, I can see why the likes of Pacino and De Niro look so bored on panels and in interview chairs, because they are getting asked these same bunch of questions again and again to such an extent that I got bored myself with many of the interviews. Anyway, what with the huge amounts of interviews flying around and a lot of repeated information, I wanted to make a little video collating different things said from different interviews and summarizing it. So there's one interview where Pacino and De Niro are asked whether they believe Frank Sheeran's story, which involves, of course, numerous disputed claims like the fact that he killed former Teamsters union boss Jimmy Hoffa and gangster Joe Gallo. Both feel that the story is credible. De Niro has already mentioned in previous interviews that he does believe Sheeran, and he said it all adds up. Pacino agrees, and he said, too many things when he tells the story, they're so accurate, so many details come out that you just say, that's real. De Niro also spoke in a separate interview about upcoming movies. In terms of working with Pacino and Scorsese again, he doesn't see it happening. He doesn't think that there is a project out there that exists for them all together, and he is just happy that they got to make this one at the very least. And for me personally, don't get me wrong, it's amazing to see Pacino and De Niro together working under Scorsese, but if they did make another film together, I don't know, it would kind of take away from the uniqueness of The Irishman and what makes it so special. Anyway, De Niro did mention briefly about two upcoming movies that he hopes he gets made. The first was a project that he did not name, which is being helmed by David O. Russell, with whom De Niro has had a lot of success with, as his last Oscar nomination came in O. Russell's Silver Linings Playbook. I'm guessing that movie might be Legacy of Secrecy, a film that Russell had in development that was supposed to star De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, which would be about the assassination of JFK and mob boss Carlos Marcello, which funnily enough plays a small part in the story of The Irishman. Where is Russell anyway? He hasn't made a film in about 5 years. Anyway, De Niro also briefly mentioned a new movie with Martin Scorsese, which obviously most of us already know is Killers of the Flower Moon, which is also set to star Leonardo DiCaprio. There was one interview where it was asked, what do you think the real Frank Sheeran would think of the movie? And after a bit of a laugh, Scorsese says, I don't think I want to know. It's an interesting question though, because Sheeran did give his thoughts on some gangster films in the book I Heard You Paint Houses. He mentioned once that Marlon Brando's portrayal as Don Corleone closely resembled Russell Bufalino, and fictional mob boss Tony Soprano is mentioned in the book. To know that not only is your story being made into a film, but the quintessential mob movie director is making it, and arguably the most famous gangster movie actor is playing you, must be something. That being said, Sheeran was not exactly looking for fame in his elderly years. I do wonder if the film was made a little earlier or he managed to live a little longer, just what he would have thought about the film. Al Pacino was asked in an interview if he improvised on set, something he was known for in his prime. He said, yeah, sometimes I did. Drove him nuts, indicating Scorsese and laughing at the same time. Scorsese then elaborated about how there being one scene where Hoffa is giving a speech, saying, if you got it, a truck brought it to you. Scorsese said, but then I wanted him to stop and kept yelling, cut, cut. I couldn't breathe. People ran down to stop him because he was going. I couldn't get the message to get him to stop. In the same interview, Scorsese goes over again making the film with Netflix and saying that they could not get the funding from traditional Hollywood studios. He said, they don't want to make pictures I want to make. It's over. It's finished. He also talked about the reflective nature of The Irishman, about how it's made from an older vantage point looking back, saying that it was a blessing to make the picture. He pondered on how you could make a reflective film without it becoming boring, adding, and I quote, how do you keep it in interest of the viewer? And that's through the character Frank. Scorsese said the film gave the cast and the filmmakers a chance to reflect themselves while they were on set, in which there was a lot of quiet, a lot of time to think about who they are and what they've done in their lives, running parallel with the story of the film itself. He was asked whether he could have made The Irishman in his 50s or 40s and bluntly replies, no. Linking with this, Ray Romano, who plays Bill Buffalino, said in a separate interview that he feels people have responded to the film because of how deep it is. He said, Marty has done this world before, but there's something deeper. The depth of these characters is what you're seeing now. Yes, they're doing horrible things, but there's also a person in there. People do horrible things, but they still go through things we all do. Regret, making bad decisions. I think people are responding to that. He also said in another interview that he was very nervous about not only working with the likes of Pacino and De Niro, but about being able to play the part convincingly. For Vinyl, Scorsese watched tapes of Romano, so he knew he could do it. But for The Irishman, he cast him with no audition. He also said that he had very little material to prepare himself for the role, as he was given only a 10-second or so footage of Buffalino speaking in a courtroom, so he had to create a lot of the character himself. I find that quite surprising myself, because there's a much longer clip of Buffalino speaking in an interview available on YouTube. There's a few quotes from De Niro here and there, mostly retreading old ground on how the film was made and joking about how the CGI will extend his career. Some interesting ones though include him saying that he could have carried on filming for another 5 or 6 months as the environment was so good and he felt so good. And that he was always getting phone calls from Pacino before the film was made, asking whether it was going to happen, as the two wanted to do something special together after they lacked pride in their previous film together, Righteous Kill. And also being asked his favourite scene in The Irishman and replying, Frank Sheeran Appreciation Night, which is also my favourite part of the movie, interestingly. And he says that it was in particular the exchange between him and Pacino where he tries to get Hoffa to back down and calm down. There's also an interview with Jesse Plemons, who has a supporting role in the film and who drove a car with De Niro and Pacino in the back seat. He calls the experience nerve-wracking, but also the experience of a lifetime, adding that he sat back and watched and learned from the acting veterans and managed to warm up to De Niro by speaking about Donald Trump. Al Pacino also praised Scorsese for the way he works with the actors and allows them freedom, saying, "You're without a net, and you don't care because you can do anything because you know he's the net. You can go in this direction or that direction and you're safe." And finally, one interviewer asked that if people watching walk away with one thing from the movie, what would you want it to be? And Pacino said he wants people to feel something, adding that the film is, I quote, "it's affecting and you don't even know why," with De Niro adding, "it's about getting older." Thanks for watching.